I've reached 10,000 subscribers, which is completely insane. This is why I have a knitting notebook where I cross off every row. Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Mathilde, I'm a French knitter, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. Now in today's video, it's going to be a regular podcast episode where I'm going to be sharing one finished object, couple of whips and a little bit of yarn acquisition, but most importantly I am going to celebrate a big milestone here on this channel, which is that I've reached 10,000 subscribers, which is completely insane. So I want to thank you so much by hosting a little giveaway, so that will be at the end. Before we actually get started, I do want to preface this by saying that I only slept for 3 hours last night, so I'm pretty shattered, and I'm hoping that my English will, stay. That's already starting. I'm hoping that I will be able to keep talking in English and make sense, but if I don't, I apologize. I hope you will forgive me. I'm just running on a tiny bit of fuel, and I have only had one coffee yet today, and that was around 6-7 a.m, so I'm in dire need of another one. But let's talk about my finished object, and actually it's kind of relevant to the coffee because it's a similar shade. I finally finished my Quilty cabin socks, and are they not just gorgeous? I love them. I love them. Now there's a little bit of a story with these. We'll talk through the stats of this project in a little bit, but I cast this on, I think in February, so quite a while ago. And I only finished the first sock and cast on the second one sometime in June or July. Don't remember. I think it was July. And then I got through the second sock pretty quickly, to be honest. I came home, wanted to block them. I was really excited. I was holding them up like this. As I was going downstairs to the laundry, and I realized that my second sock was much shorter in the foot than the first one. And I remember I tried them on to show them to my grandma when I was in Britain, when I finished the second one, and I was like, oh, this one feels a little bit tight. I think I only tried one on, and that was the second one. I was like, oh, it feels a bit tight, which is weird because I remember trying on the first one and I thought it would fit it perfectly. But I didn't really, think about that. Also, if you have been following me for a while, you know that I have got a knitting notebook where I write down every single row that I'm doing and I'm crossing it off as I go. But I do that for my cardigan sweater patterns. I don't do it for my socks. I usually do that on my phone for my socks, but I think I must have had internet down or something at one point because I'm doing it on Notion, and so I didn't have the number of rounds that I did for the first sock on the foot before I started the toe. And so I was like, okay, never mind, I'm not gonna do exactly the same, I'm just gonna measure it and it'll be fine. It wasn't fine. This is why I have a knitting notebook where I cross off every row, because if I don't, then things just don't turn out the same size. It's happened to me before with a sleeve or sleeves, and I've still not fixed that. But I have fixed it for the second sock. So when I realized, I took a day or two to cool down. Not that I was upset or anything, but I was just not ready to go back to knitting on the socks. But I, hyped myself up. I undid the toe. I think, I put kind of a lifeline. I put my needle around to kind of get the stitches. I did 2 centimeters on the foot, and then I redid the toe, and that took me 2 evenings. It was fine. It happens, but I'm just annoyed that I didn't actually measure it properly. I just held them up like this, but when you do it like this, you can't really see what's underneath it, you know what I mean? And so it didn't add up. But when I actually measured it with a measuring tape to count between my this part and the beginning of the decreases for the toe, I had 9 centimeters, and so That's what I did for the second sock, and now they fit perfectly. So I'm really happy with them. These are, if I didn't say, a pattern by Horse Feather Fibre Arts. And you can do one pattern repeat or two. I think it's suggested in the pattern to do two, but I just wanted one because I wanted a shorter leg, because I just like my socks to be quite short. Actually, I've realized I needed one pair and it was really, really high up my calf, but because I've got pretty big calves, it just is not a good look on me. And just for the fit as well, I just prefer them to be quite short. It's knitted with a 2x2 rib, and then you've got the color work, which for mine thus is quite short. Like you can get through this in like 2 hours, 3 hours maybe. Then it's a heel flap and gussets, and then just, you know, regular leg, regular foot, and the wedge toe. I don't think these grew a ton in blocking, so I'm really happy with the fit, and I think they're really cute. So let's talk about the yarn that I use and the specs. So I used a BFL sock by Les Petits Parisiens, who is an indie dyer, and this is in the colorway Ecorce. And I don't know how well it's gonna wear, I'll let you know, but I do really like the feeling of this yarn and how it knit up, so that was really pleasant. I don't remember the exact composition, but it's a lovely blend. And for the white of the colorwork, I used Filcolana Arwetta in the colorway 101. And I've got around 40 grams left of this, so I'm thinking I might use it for another pair of socks. I'm thinking ribbed socks and contrast heel and toe. Hopefully I've got enough to do that, and maybe even a little bit of a stripe or two at the top of the sock, like under the cuff. I think that would be really cute with like a white main color. I don't have enough of the Arwetta to do that, I don't think, but I've got another sock yarn that could work, so I don't think I'll do that right now, because one pair of socks a year is quite enough for me, but maybe later in the year or next year. And I would really like to do some ribbed socks, because I've never knitted a pair of ribbed socks. Now, as for the time it took me to knit, they were on my needles for around 193 days. Now I say around because it erased the start date, but I think it was around at the beginning of February, and it cost me 23.09 euros. So I think that's the pattern, the hand dyed yarn, and the like 15 grams of the Arwetta that I used. I don't know if it's exactly 15, but it's not even a third of a skein. So that's a pretty good project, and I'm not really a sock knitter, but I enjoyed making these. So these are my new socks. Next up, let's talk about the girl dress. We've got just a bit of an update on it. I'm not going to through the whole pattern, the whole process, everything. Hopefully the project vlog will be coming in under a month, so be on the lookout for that if you're wanting to know more of the details of the construction and everything. But this is a pattern by VertKnit. I am knitting it in Knitting for Life Pure Silk in the colorway Olive. I am on my 8th skein. I think this is my 9th, and I've got 3 more in my yarn stash, and I think in total I bought 12, so I think that's the right count. I think I may not have to break into this one, so I think I might keep it at at 8 skeins. We'll see. That will be for next podcast or the one after that even. And as for the progress that I've made since we last chatted, I've made quite a lot of progress, so I'm really, really happy with myself, to be honest. And I mean, it's good because I've got to finish in under 2 weeks, so it's gonna happen. So this is where I've put my stitch marker here, and I've knitted all the way down here, and this stitch marker is for when I last tried it on. So yeah, let me show you a little bit what it looks like. I will put up a video of me trying it on. It's not the last time I tried it on, but it's like the one before that when I was in Brittany, and it's looking so good, guys. I don't have the right bra on that video, So that will not be how it's looking when I actually wear the dress, but it just gives you an idea of the length and everything, and of the back panel, which I did not show you the last time. So this is it, and oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you. This is how long it's getting. So it's around my calves somewhere, and I think I may only have to do about 3 centimeters before I start the hem, so we're getting really close. Now I did block this, which I don't honestly know if you can tell the difference. I certainly can't, except for the feeling of it. It feels much softer, which I didn't expect because I've used this yarn before and I've never really noticed that it's softened up so much in blocking. But for this one, maybe because it's stockinette and it's just one strand, and I've used it once one strand but broken rib, and once 2 strands held together, and so maybe the fabric is a little bit different. But for this one, I think it's really softened up a lot. Like, it's not a soft yarn, but it's, I don't know, it feels really, really nice. Yeah, we'll see when I get it done. Hopefully in the next week or so I can finish this, because as I said, I've got less than 2 weeks. I've got a little bit over for the wedding, before the wedding, but I'm going to be away for a week before the wedding, so I want to get it done way before then, so that I can just put it in my bag for that kind of wedding trip and for it to be ready and done, because I won't be home for like the like 5-6 days before the wedding, so I need to get this done. And once I've finished the hem and so the skirt, I will just have to do the straps and finish the waistband, because I've still not finished that. But we're getting there. And for the hem, it's just going to be linen stitch. I think it's one round slip one with yarn in front, knit one, and then it's knit one, slip stitch with yarn in front, and then a third one of the same first round. I don't know. Now my next whip is one you haven't seen in a bit, because I put it down for a while, but I've put it back on the needles. I'm really excited about it, because first up, it's kind of overwhelming when I've got hibernating whips, but they're still in my mind and I'm still planning to finish them this year, and so I really wanted to get this one back on the needles, and so I'm glad I did. And that is my zipper sweater light man by Petite. So I'm using the man version, but I'm knitting it for myself. That's just because that's the pattern I had. Because of that, I'm knitting a size small, even though I should be knitting a size extra small based on the positives that I'm meant to have. But I want this to be quite oversized and like very slouchy, like kind of as if I'm wearing my boyfriend's sweater, but my boyfriend's or my partner's quite tall, is like a lot taller than me, so when I wear his zipper sweater light man, which I knitted for him last year, I'm kind of drowning in it. So I don't want to drown in mine, but I just want it to be a little bit more oversized, a little bit more cozy than if I had knitted the size that I should have. So size small, and I'm using 4mm needles. The yarn that I'm using is absolutely gorgeous, as you can probably see. So I am using Cumbria fingering by the Fibre company in the colorway Blencathra, who is sadly discontinued. The yarn brand stopped working, but I'm pairing it with Suri lace by the Sunday Fibre company in the colorway Natural Wonder, which is, as you can see, a like whiter white, rather than this one is like a grey beige, which I absolutely adore, and they pair really well together. The Cumbria fingering has got 10% mohair in it. I think the rest is like wool. I don't think it's merino, I think it's wool. And so because of that content, it's a little bit scratchy, unfortunately, but I think if I wear it with like a t-shirt underneath it, it'll be fine. But just I tried it on earlier with nothing except my bra underneath it, and it was itching a tiny bit. So that's a bit unfortunate, because the Suri lace is really soft and gorgeous, and that looks like a cloud. I love it. I absolutely love it. This is a raglan sweater, and you start with the color that you knit, I don't know, a lot of ribbing, and then you fold the ribbing down so that you kind of, I think that it's been a while since since I did that part, but you sew it down together with the cast on edge, which I think was a provisional cast on. And then you go straight into the raglan with German short shaping. You're not in the round for a bit, obviously, because you've got that like placket. Also, I forgot to say, but you do put some stitches on hold from the color that you will then later on pick up again and knit like a double knit facing for the zipper. And then once you finish the raglan increases, you split the sleeves and just knit in the round, and that's where I'm at. It's already looking, when I try it on, like it's a good length, but I think I'm gonna go for a similar length as my storm sweater. I think the recommended ribbing on this one is quite long. I don't think I'm gonna do it as long. I don't remember if it's 8 centimeters, I think. And I think I'm probably gonna do around 5. So I want to knit more of the stockinette and then 5. And for the length that I want, I'm gonna hold it up. I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna hold it up against my storm sweater to see when I should stop the stockinette. But like, I feel like if I stop now, it's gonna look really ridiculous because it's about the same length as the, you know, this part. And so I think it's gonna be looking a little bit disproportionate. So I think I'm gonna still knit a bit and then do the ribbing. I also think once I finish the body, I will actually do the facing for the zipper, and only then I will do the sleeves, just because I'm a tiny bit worried about running out of the Cumbria fingering because I've only got 4 skeins. I should have enough, but just in case I don't, I would rather do the facing first, and then I'll just have to worry about one sleeve and then the next, and then I'll be done. So I don't want to put a deadline on myself for this whip and the next. I just want to enjoy knitting on it whenever I want, whenever I can. Now this one hurts my hands a little bit, I think, and my arm. I think it's because I'm knitting this on a 4mm and it's quite a dense fabric, so I think if I had gone up to a 4.5 it would have been better, but it just means I'm taking it a little bit slower. I'm just knitting 1-2 rows at a time, taking a break, doing something else. But I mean, I've done quite a lot of progress, because last time I showed you on the podcast, I was at this stitch marker, and I've done all of that, so that's pretty good. Pretty happy with that. So yeah, that's the zipper sweater light man. And then my final whip is one that I didn't really get to chat too much about in the last podcast because I had only just cast it on, and so I don't know, I didn't have a lot to say, but now I do. And that is my Maggie Cardigan by Petite Knit, which I'm knitting in a black yarn, so you're not gonna see much, but I mean, it's looking really cute. So I'm knitting it in Knitting for Live, Merino and Soft Silk Mohair in the colorway Licorice, which is their black. I'm loving this yarn combination so much. I just want to keep working on this project, and so that's why it's got a lot of progress on it. So I brought this with me to Brittany. I brought the girl dress and the socks and this. And so once I finished the socks, I decided that I could get, you know, a bit further away on this. I kind of wanted to see if I could finish the yoke whilst I was there. I didn't. I finished it like a day or so when I came back. But as I said, I don't really want to put a deadline on myself. Like, it's something that I tend to do, but I really need to stop doing that because there's really no point. And I like doing it because I'm a type A person. I plan every bit of my day. And so even my like knitting, I plan it in my day if I can. But yeah, I think I just need to learn to, you know, chill and take each moment as it comes. Anyways, that's a tangent. But yeah, so I knitted a lot on this, and so I'm like way more than halfway through the body now. I think I've got to do, I put a stitch marker earlier, and based on the pattern instructions, I need to do 10 centimeters from this stitch marker, and then I'll be able to start the ribbing, which is 6 centimeters. So for the construction of this one, you cast on at the back. You knit a tiny bit of the back panel, like this much. Then you pick up stitches, you break the yarn, you pick up stitches on one shoulder here, knit it down a tiny bit. Then you break your yarn, you do the same thing for the other shoulder. Then you actually pick up stitches around the top of the sleeve, so around the shoulder that you just knitted, then down the back panel and then the other sleeve. And then once you've kind of joined that together, you can start shaping it with raglan increases. At the start, you only increase around the sleeves, and then after a while, you start shaping it around the body as well. You do body increases. And then once you're done with that, you just split the sleeves and just knit back and forth with no shaping. And as I said, then once you're done with a certain amount of the body, you'll have 6 centimeters of ribbing. I'm using this one on 3.5mm needles using the continental method. I didn't say, but for the other 2 projects, I'm using the English style method. So my gauge is usually pretty tight, but my tension is pretty even. For this one, my tension is not great, although I think now that I'm just knitting like back and forth in a much larger kind of panel, it's not as visible as it is, like for example in the sleeve here. I don't know how well you'll see, but here I feel like you can kind of see that my tension is not great. But also it's a black cardigan, it's not very visible. I'm just going with it, it'll be fine. And so because of that, I'm doing the size small, which initially I thought I would need to do the size extra small because I thought my gauge was way looser than it actually is. And so thankfully the numbers are the same for the first part of the pattern before you have to, or before I had to decide on a size, and so I chose the size small, and I think it'll be fine. I'm a tiny bit worried about where my bust is, that it's going to be a little bit tight to close it up, but I don't think I'm planning on closing the cardigan all the way down. I think I'm just going to close the top button and that'll be it, so hopefully it will work out. But I think it'll be fine. I'm just a tiny bit worried about it, but not enough to go back and frog and restart this. I think it'll be fine, especially because I don't have the button bound, so that's gonna add a tiny bit of width. And I think in blocking I'm gaining like 0.5 centimeter, if not a full centimeter, so we should be good. So yeah, I did not think I would have this much to show you today, and because now it's just, you know, kind of stockinette, even though it's a cardigan, I don't have any shaping to think of, and that's really nice. So we'll see when I, what I accomplish in the next podcast, but hopefully once I finish the girl dress, I'm just gonna focus on these 2, and so hopefully I can finish one. Maybe not before the next podcast, but fairly soon-ish. Now, before we move on to the last part of this video, I do have one small acquisition, and that is a yarn that I'm very excited to bring into my wardrobe. Now, I did buy this same yarn in another colorway earlier this year, and I've not used it yet, but I have a pattern in mind for that colorway, and I've got another pattern in mind for this one. So I bought 12 skeins of Atlas by Sandnes Garn in the colorway Cacao Nibs, which is 3091, and I think it's a Petite knit colorway, yep. And this yarn is quite new from Sandnes Garn. I've not tried it out yet, although as I said, I do have another sweater quantity in stash. And this is 70% Norwegian lamb's wool, 30% merino wool, and it is quite soft. And I am planning, actually it's funny, I put up a picture of this yarn on my Instagram feed and I asked people what they thought I would knit with it. And a fair amount of people said the Saga sweater by Petite Knit. And a few people said the Hannah sweater, V-neck or not, by Petite Knit. And a good amount of people were right, because I'm planning to knit the Saga sweater by Petite with this one. I think a cabled chocolate round sweater is going to be so gorgeous. I fell in love with this pattern, not necessarily when it came out, but a few moments after that. I feel like it did not get as popular as the Dagmar sweater, for example, but I do absolutely adore the look of it. And I saw Kimmy's Knits, who's got a YouTube channel now, so I highly recommend you check out her vlogs. They're really fun to watch. And she knitted hers because she's a test knitter for Petite, and she knitted hers in this same color. And so I was like, I really wanted a dark cabled sweater, and I was hesitating between this colorway and the Velvet Fig, but I ended up deciding for this one, and I think it'll be really cute. Now, I really also want a cream cable jumper because I don't have one yet in my wardrobe, and obviously it's a staple piece. I was talking with my grandma who used to knit, and I was showing her one that I want to knit in cream, and she was like, yeah, why have you not done that yet? Like, that's a tradition. And so it made me laugh. But yeah, that'll be hopefully next year. But I already have one cable jumper on the needles, so that will have to wait a little bit until I finish that one, I think, before I cast this on. But hopefully this fall, that would be really great if I could cast this on. So we will see. So that's it podcast wise, but as I said, I really want to thank you guys for subscribing to my channel, for watching my videos, commenting, liking, whatever you're doing, even if you're not subscribed, but at least if you're, you know, participating in any way. I really want to thank you so much. I never thought I would get to 10,000 subscribers. That seems like an insane amount, but I'm really glad. And so I thought I would host a tiny giveaway now. I really struggled to find what I could gift to you guys, and I think it's gonna be just a gift for one person, especially because I know most of you guys are in the US, and so to send something from France to the US, it's gonna be pretty expensive for me, but also for you guys. You may have customs, and I don't want you guys to pay for that if you don't have to. So I was thinking of giving away a gift card from Knitting for Live for 100 euros. So hopefully with that amount you can get yourself a sweater quantity or a summer top, summer tee quantity, or whatever your heart's desire. And so if you would like to participate, I would like for you to comment down below something about a traditional white cable jumper. So if you're not inspired, you can just use the hashtag traditional white cable jumper or white cable sweater, whatever word you use for sweater, pullover, jumper. But if you're inspired, just give me, you know, a sentence about if you've knitted one, if you'd like to knit one, which pattern you would like to do, anything like that. That would be really fun. So I will draw the winner in my next podcast, which should be in about 2 to 3 weeks time. So if you would like to participate, you have to comment before then. So as I said, I really appreciate you guys, and let me know as always what you've been knitting on whilst watching. I always love to hear it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.